Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? I'm doing good. Can't uh can't really complain because I figure if I complain, who's gonna listen to me anyway, right? So um how's everybody's week? Are you excited for daylight savings or springing ahead? Um how are you feeling? Knowing that we are getting closer to spring, which means closer to summer, which means closer to getting outdoors, fishing, hunting. Oh, not hunting, fishing and hiking. I mean, getting out there, out in the outdoors. Nature is huge. A lot of different I don't really want to. I mean, healing, but healing principles and things like that. Meaning that it just makes you feel good when you're out in nature and things like that. So, how's everyone doing? How has the past week been for you, mental health wise? Anything else that you'd like to share? Yes, you are right, Dave. It's excited that we're above freezing kayak time. So I take it that you go out in kayak too, Dave. Do you and Scott go together? So, yes, it is. It's the sun's shining here, and it stinks when this starts happening. I don't get me wrong, like I absolutely love, when the weather starts changing and we can actually get outside and things like that. So don't get me wrong. But what's annoying is where my desk is in my office, it faces the door going outside. And so the sun, it ends up coming around. And so it's minimal, but during the day or in the evening time, about this time, about 7 o'clock or so, which I shouldn't be out here anyway, but the sun beams right through my window. So even the cover that I have over my window, sometimes it still shines in. So I'm like literally like this on, peeking on my computer and doing different work and stuff like that too. Um, Yes. And so I'm glad that it's warming up. I'm glad that we're all kind of thawing out, that the temperatures are changing and things like that. And, hopefully it'll just be gradual from here. I'm hoping that the temperatures will just continue to be good, treat us good. So, I mean, even if we have 50 or 60-degree weather, although you might not be able to get out and fish or, do the things that you absolutely love. But in that weather, you can at least get outside, even if you just walk around your yard, if you just sit outside and let the sun kind of soak into your skin and hit you and things like that. There's so many different wonderful benefits of being outside. So some updates for me. I always try to tag Sly on my different, I know some of you aren't on Facebook and that's okay. But last week I was at the doctor's. I went to the eye doctor and I did not get so good news. And so I was kind of bummed, but I'm blessed in other areas. But what ended up happening is in 2023 or 2022, Charles and I were very sick. So when I finally got into the lung doctor, they put me on some steroids and they put me on a corticosteroid. I think it's called corticosteroid, Symbicort, whatever. And so I've been on that since 23, like early 23, like January, February 23. And so last year I noticed my eyesight changing. And so I had gone to the doctor in 23. And so, obviously as you get older, your close-up vision is kind of anyway. But my far away vision was really, really, I don't really want to say perfect, but it was like I didn't need glasses. The only glasses that I needed was for reading, and I was okay with that. And then obviously, like being on the computer, things were a little bit blurry, which obviously, my glasses took care of. But I was driving home last year, probably about 6-8 months ago, I'd say. And I went to rub my right eye, and when I did, my left eye was like really blurry, but it was gray. And I was like, what the heck? Like, that's odd. And I literally couldn't see anything. And I was like, oh my goodness, like that's freaky to me. And so fast forward, went to the doctor last week. And because of the steroids that I take, because I have asthma, whatever illness that we had in 22 really did a number on my lungs. And because of that, I have what they call posterior sub. Um, it's a cataract, but it's like a different one. Posterior. I was trying to figure out where my thing was that I wrote it on. Anyway, it was like posterior sub something cataract. I don't even know what it is. And so basically, what happens is that when the sun, or if I'm outside and any type of light hits it, my left eye goes almost, I don't really want to say blind. I don't want to give the enemy any fighting power, but it goes kind of a grayish color. And so I've been trying to limit my driving until I get my new glasses and things like that, and stuff. But it's like, okay, do you want to breathe or do you want to be able to see? Although I'd like to do both, but I just can't believe in like a 6 or 8 month period how fast my vision declined. And so it's not bad enough to have it removed. But, like the doctor said, it could be 6 months. It could be 10 years. I have no idea. And so I'm just waiting for my new glasses to come in, and hopefully that'll help me, when driving and stuff like that. But I'm kind of bummed because it does suck. It sucks when you get older, but it sucks when, I'm glad that I found out what it was, but it happened so rapidly, so quickly. And that's what he said. He said these types of cataracts from steroids happen so fast. He said I probably wouldn't have been able to slow down the growth of it anyway, because you're on the steroid every day, and I'm on it twice a day. Hi, Michael. Oh, that's all right. We're glad that you're here. And so again, I was kind of bummed. And I was just like, man, like I just kind of felt defeated. And like, without your vision, I mean, you can still do things, but I'm thinking, holy mackerel, like without my vision, holy moly, like there's a lot of things I can't do. And so, I've just been trying to just figure out, that I'm blessed in other areas. There's other things, other ways that I'm blessed and things like that too. And at least I can still see. The cataract eventually will have to be removed, which I'm not too enthused about having that done, but whatever. But again, he doesn't know if it's going to be 6 months or 10 years. So just hopefully it's more of the latter, because I hope it's no time soon. But seeing how it progressed so rapidly, it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't within the next 6 months to a year, honestly, and things like that too. So it's all right. So that is one thing. Okay. So this is what I'm going to tell you. Do you have a spacer? Because do you have a spacer, Dave? Did they give you a spacer? Because I didn't have a spacer when they originally gave me my Symbicort and also my inhaler. Okay. So the optometrist, I was going to call it, the optometrist told me, had the pulmonologist given me you can go in, Alex, had given me a spacer, it would have cut down 25% more goes into your lungs, but then with the spacer, less goes into your bloodstream. So what ended up happening is because it hits you in the back of the throat, more of it was staying in the back of my throat than getting to my lungs. And so it was absorbing into my bloodstream from the back of my throat. Excuse me. So had I had a spacer, you obviously, you know what to do, but you have a spacer, you pump it into, and then you inhale it, and it inhales into your lungs instead of into the back of your throat. So I highly recommend, Dave, that you use your spacer. If I'm going to be a huge advocate for this now, if you start noticing a change in your vision, I would really start getting to the doctor right away, because I have it in both eyes now. And, like the doctor said, had I had a spacer, chances are my eyes wouldn't have deteriorated as rapidly as they did. So, I mean, again, it's not, I can have them removed, but if I can save somebody from having to have this done, or their vision be impaired and things like that, because it sucks. It's like, if I'm driving and I see, like if I'm driving and there's a car in front of me, if it's light out, even dark, because I have astigmatism too, which is like all crazy. But if I am driving, in the way that the sun hits my eye, like hits the light and hits my eye, I can't really see the car in front of me. It's crazy. It's nuts. And so I pray before I have to drive anywhere. Usually I don't have to drive very far, especially doing all of my sub jobs and things like that. But just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and doing what you're doing. And good. I mean, it sucks that it got worse with chemo, but I'm glad that, that your eye doctor, it's on your to-do list, because definitely. And that's another thing, chemo, but it's called, you can even look it up. Like I said, it's called posterior sub something, hold on, because it's going to drive me nuts. I want to tell you what it is. So then you know exactly what it is. Sub something cataract. Okay. Posterior. I'll just type it in the chat. So you guys, posterior subcapsular cataract. Hopefully I spelled that right. There you go. And so this is what I have that is actually caused by, and so one of the things, again, reading about it, is that it can actually cause vision loss, which is like what's happening to me. So we all have a blind spot. This isn't our topic, but I'm just checking in mental health wise and stuff. So as far as what's happening, it's like my blind spot. We all have a blind spot, but it's like my eye in certain areas ends up turning gray. And it's like, oh, this is terrible. And so just make sure you're using your spacer, make sure that you're getting your eyes checked, and things like that too. And, kind of figuring out, everything like that. I forgot to print out my papers for tonight, to kind of lead into what we're going to talk about and things like that. So as soon as that gets up, I'll get them printed out and things like that too. So how's everybody else doing while my papers are loading and going to print and stuff like that? How's everybody else doing? Michael, how are you doing? How have you been the last week since I seen you guys last? Things like that. Anybody got plans for the week? Anybody doing anything exciting this week at all? I don't really have much going on, except for if it's nice out, obviously, after I get done working, I would like to start walking. That's love getting out. So that's one of the things I'd love to start being able to do is walking and things like that too. And yard work. Yeah. I don't even want to think about yard work right now. I keep thinking, man, it's not so bad. It's not so bad, but we have a ride mower and things like that. It's not bad, but once the weather, it's interesting. I don't have a green thumb for the house. Same old. I hear you. I don't have a green thumb for inside the house, but outside the house, I can get all kinds of plants and things like that on the outside, and they thrive. Although, sometimes in the summertime, I've let my hanging baskets, sometimes I forget to water them. Sly's really good about watering for me. And then I was like, but we're going to do a garden this year, and things like that too, and see that's a lot of work. So we'll see what happens, how all of that works and things like that too. And kind of go from there and stuff. But I'm excited for the warm weather to come. I'm excited for the sun shining. I'm excited for it. I don't know where you are, if it's dark where you are, but I got a brag at 7:45 here in Northwest Ohio. And what's lovely about it is actually still light. And so I'm loving this. And so it's interesting because my family is all on the East Coast. They're all in Massachusetts. And what's funny is that my mom will call me and she'll call me at like 7:30. And this is like obviously in the summertime. And she'll call me and she'll say, one thing I always miss about Ohio is that it's always, it stays light until like almost 10 o'clock. And that's truth. Like 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's, just starting getting dark. That's funny, Michael, because I ended up buying air plants, and the ladies, this was the second round of them. I don't know if I'll ever buy them again. And so the lady's like, that's a hard plant to kill. And you just water them once a week. You soak them for 30 minutes, and then you got to flip them upside down, let the water drain from them and things like that. But it's interesting because I ended up having like 5 of them and I killed them all. And I don't think it was just me. I think what ended up happening is that the heat in our house, it was really hot. And I think they need it to be kind of soaked in water probably twice a week instead of just one. So they were getting very dried out, and so they ended up just kind of croaking. Now, both of my parents have green thumbs. I did not inherit that at all. And I was like, yeah, but plants are good. You could talk to plants too. Not that they talk back, but you could talk to them, play music for them, whatever. But yeah, so I would love to be able to have plants, but I'm over it. Now, maybe out here in the cabin, they'd be all right. I have my windows and things like that, and it's just different out here, but we'll see what happens. So as long as everybody's doing all right. So on tonight's episode, we are going to talk about medical anxiety. And this is something, like I try to research different things and kind of bring about, some different mental health and trauma aspects of things and things like that, because that's what our channel is. It's about mental health and trauma and how they go together, the correlation, how the after effects of trauma, there's a lot of after effects that mimic a lot of mental health challenges, a lot of mental health diagnoses. And so what I don't want to say job, but what I love to do is week after week, I love to bring you truth. I love to bring you the research that I've done as far as, doing my studies, my certifications, and I'm really diving deep into them because I feel like education is key. And you'll notice that as we're talking, it all comes down to one thing always. And week after week after week after week, it always comes down to one thing. And so imagine searching online and back pain across your shoulders. And you're searching it for the 100th time. And it's because your brain is stuck in survival mode. And so how many of us search for something that we like a symptom, back pain across our shoulders, heart attack in men, heart attack in women, severe headache, all of these, and how many times do you look at it and then you're looking up things, my ankles are swollen, but then you start looking up all of these different things on like Google and hi babe, and then you start looking up everything on like WebMD or just on Google or whatever you're on in general. And then what ends up happening is that you go to the doctor and then they do all these tests, but then the test results come out normal. And you're like, that can't be. And so health anxiety can be exhausting. It's a kind of persistent, distressing fear that sticks with people. And so it's like, so no matter how many times your doctor says you're fine, you really feel like something is wrong with your body. So is there anybody here that maybe has health anxiety? I don't think I have it to a severe, I don't even know what the word is. Like, it's so severe that it's controlling my life. But there are times that something happens and then I'm like, oh, is this what's really happening? Or, oh, this is happening. And so like a tight aching shoulder, like shoulder blades, that convinces them it's a heart attack. So does your anxiety ever feel like, oh my goodness, my shoulder blades are hurting, I must be having a heart attack. And so you research that. The dizziness that makes them worry about their brain. Do you get dizziness and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh my goodness, I might have cancer. I might have tumors. My brain is not right. Or you have tingling in your hands and it sends you straight to Google. Why are my hands tingling? Why do I feel this way? Why? And so for years, health anxiety has been misunderstood. A lot of people think it's a problem of overthinking, ruminating, cycling, impulsive thoughts, but rather it's a deeper issue within the nervous system. And so this is really where we always, this is where the common denominator is, and everything that we have talked about thus far. And so it comes down to, it's not just mental, it's physiological. And that's huge. That's huge. And I made an error. It's fine. When I was taking my notes, I just realized that now, but it's okay. But it's physiological. And we talk about physiological quite a bit, especially in my training. And the physiological part is when your nervous system is stuck in high alert mode, it creates real physical symptoms. And so the physiological sign, yes, it is. Dr. Google is the worst. You know, Dr. Google, WebMD, all of those types of things are like, people will tell you. I mean, sometimes it is good, but sometimes it can be very unbeneficial. I don't even know if that's a word, but very unbeneficial, not beneficial to your mental health, your mental stability, because now you're going on there and now it may say, oh, to give you an idea, the pain between your shoulder blades could in fact be a sign of a heart attack. So guess what happens? So now your mind starts ruminating over and over and over again. I'm having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. So now that thought is full force. So now your body becomes anxious. So now your heart rate starts increasing. So now your heart is beating super fast. So now your breath is trying to keep up with your heartbeat, because now your anxiety has kicked in, and things like that. And so the physiological side of it, we speak about this. I think I speak about this almost every single week. The physiological side of health anxiety, or just the physiological side of things, is actually your symptom or your systems. So your systems are like your respiratory, your endocrine, your lymphatic, all of those, heart, all of those are part of your symptom, your systems are part of your systems. And so the physiological side of things is where we talk about this. As trauma survivors, trapped emotions become stuck in the physiological on the cellular level. So do you see that there is, I can't think of the word, but like, do you see that where everything is leading to like the physiological side of things? Do you see where it ends up being like, again, the trapped emotions and the cells driving the anxiety through the roof? So there's like a pattern. That's the word I was looking for. Do you see the pattern? There's a pattern. There's a pattern. When you are stuck in survival mode, your brain is going to ruminate this stuff all the time. Exactly. Snowball effect. It's going to affect you all the time, all the time. And so when you have that, and then you have urge surfing on top of it, which means you can't put your phone down, and then you have these symptoms, you are going to drive yourself absolutely crazy and over the edge. I'm just being realistic. And here's why. The body feels short of breath, even at rest. So again, you could be sitting there calm as can be, and all of a sudden you're like, man, my shoulders hurt. And then you're looking up these things, and all of a sudden, when you're supposed to be like even at rest, you feel short of breath because your heartbeat is just beating out of your chest, because now your blood pressure is increasing, but because your adrenaline, the fight or flight, because if you being in it's like your hypervigilance, your nervous system is hypervigilant. So now all of a sudden your heartbeat is like in like 140s. So now you're like, holy Toledo, what's wrong with me? Your stomach churns even without stress. And the body or the brain keeps scanning for danger. So over and over and over again, it's because of the physiological and safety. It's a dysregulated nervous system. And the reason that it scans for danger is because that's what it's used to. Your nervous system is used to that. It's used to scanning. And that comes back to the amygdala hijack. That comes back to a dysregulated nervous system. That's the pattern. A lot of trauma survivors don't understand this, but a lot of the root cause of the issues that you're facing and the challenges that you have, it's all because of a dysregulated nervous system. And those dysregulated nervous systems are caused because the trapped emotions are in the physiological, which are the systems of the body. They become trapped, embedded into the cells of the body. And so the real question is how do you teach the body to feel safe again? It comes back to a safety concern. There's no safety because your body remembers what took place, although your mind may not. It's embedded in your subconscious, but it's not embedded anywhere else. You may not remember walking, you may walk into a restaurant and all of a sudden your body feels weird and you have no idea why. Well, you may not remember, but your subconscious does. And then it sets off because your body recognizes and remembers what happened when you walked into an establishment, when you walked into a place, or when you seen somebody, heard something, smelled something. See the pattern. So it's about triggering. That's what it comes down to. So we talk about this again, and it's just something that I want to reiterate, because no amount of talking or thinking can override a nervous system that was dysregulated. What traditional talking and therapy or coaching fails to recognize is that the psychological and physiological after effects of complex trauma are embedded deep inside our amygdala and limbic system. And so we can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but it does not get what happened to us out of the subconscious and out of the physio, which is part of the psychological. It does not remove that or release that from the physiological, because it's embedded in our amygdala and our limbic system. The amygdala is where your fight or flight is. And then the limbic system is that goes hand in hand with all your emotions and things like that too. But I don't want to tell you wrong, because that is one that, let me just make sure, I don't want to tell you wrong. Okay, yep. Part of your emotional nervous system. So yeah, so your emotions and things like that. So when your amygdala becomes hijacked because of a dysregulated nervous system and you're in survival mode, it automatically kicks in your adrenaline and cortisol and then the limbic system, because that is what regulates your nervous system. And so they go hand in hand. You have to work on the subconscious and get what's going on in your body and in the cellular level in order to start really healing and transforming. And so therefore, what I want to kind of explain to you is working on the symptoms. This is the after effects of trauma, the symptoms. So when you go into the doctor and you tell your doctor your symptoms, then they start telling you, oh, well, you have anxiety. Well, the doctors don't work on what the root cause is. They work on the symptoms. Oh, you have excessive nervousness. You have dizziness. Your heartbeat, increases. Maybe you're breathing and all that stuff. All the things that may come with anxiety, the ruminating thinking, the negative thoughts, the impulses, the spiraling. And so they look at that and they say, oh, those are symptoms of anxiety. And so they're treating those symptoms, but they're not treating the unhealed, unprocessed trauma. That's the cause. That's the root cause. Not saying of anxiety, but a lot of times it is, but they don't look at that. They don't look at the root cause of these types of things. They just say, oh, that's what you have. Let me just treat your symptoms. We're not going to look at the root cause. And so if they would look at that, they would understand that it's working on the symptoms before working on the cause, which is the unhealed, unprocessed trauma that causes the nervous system to become dysregulated, which drives the dysfunctional behaviors and thoughts because the trauma's in the cells. So it's the dysregulated nervous system and the trauma that sits on the cells, which is part of the trapped emotions, that actually start causing a lot of the dysfunctional thoughts and behaviors that happen. We've talked about this, but the low window of tolerance, the extreme anger, your highs and lows, Could be an after effect. Depression is one of them, bipolar, those types of things. And so that is why you probably feel anxious, exhausted, and disconnected, because you're constantly going, 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 constantly. And so your mind is just ruminating all this stuff. And so you're giving your body fuel, negative fuel, by continuously searching for what's wrong with your body. You're just adding more fuel. And so, so you're stuck. Then, you get a hijacked amygdala, your limbic system, which is you're like the emotional dysregulation, and your nervous system dysregulation. So you have all those, plus you have all of the trapped trauma, aka emotions, that are on the physiological cellular level. And so how can your nervous system feel safe? What are things that you can do to make your nervous system feel safe? Well, safety cannot be achieved until your nervous system is regulated. And then, so when you're living in constant fight or flight, which means like you're living in constant survival. And, that's where your body is always searching for a threat or danger, always, constantly. It's like a constant spiral. It's time to change that. If you're fine where you are, okay, so it's time to change it. And some people, I kind of talk about, again, we talk about this all the time. And the reason that I talk about this is because I could just go on and on. I could have a whole nother thing, but I literally spent 25 years in therapy, 25 years. And what I found is that I felt better, but I didn't feel like myself. I've kind of felt like I was kind of like a zombie just walking around, somebody that didn't fit in. And I wanted more. I just wanted more. I think I just wanted more. And so where I'm going with this is that I started to understand it's not about traditional talk therapy. It's not about traditional, talk coaching. There has to be more. There has to be more alongside you. And so it's time to change where you are. If you feel like where you are is fine, then that's fine. But I just want to tell you that there's more to living than living bound up, living like you have shackles and you can't really do anything. It's really time to seek freedom, and seeking freedom from things that are controlling us. Our thoughts control us. Our anxiety controls us. Our depression controls us. And so freedom by learning to navigate to a regulated nervous system, and also learning to control those thoughts, and don't let the thoughts control you, but to build safety. Safety is key. If there's not safety within your body, if your body doesn't feel safe, you will never have the freedom of what it feels like to have a regulated nervous system. You will never have the freedom of being able to feel free, like the weight of the world just lifted off your shoulders. And we've talked about the side door approaches, because everything that we talk about goes back to safety, but it goes back to a dysregulated nervous system. Your dysregulated nervous system is caused because of safety, because of threat and danger, of being in survival mode, constant fight or flight. That's what's happening. And so you don't realize this, but it's actually wrecking your entire system. When you are in a constant fight or flight and your body is constantly searching for threats and dangers everywhere, and something happens and all of a sudden your heart rate starts shooting up because your body's dumping adrenaline and cortisol, guess what happens? It goes back into your entire systems, whether it's your lungs, whether it's your heart, whether it's your nervous system, limbic system, whether it's the endocrine, all of those can't think of the other one. There's a couple of them. But what happens is it redeposits back in your body because you aren't running or fleeing to wear that off. And so, again, I just want to be realistic and educate you, because those types of things aren't healthy. So what happens is it can start causing damage to your heart. It can start causing damage to your lungs, your reproductive systems. It can start causing you issues if you are trying to conceive, or with a man. There's so many different things to it. So your respiratory, all of that. Endocrine, which is your I know exactly what that one is too. Give me a minute. I gotta cheat and look that one up. Okay, so like your glands and your tissues and things like that. So that is part of like your pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, pineal glands, as well as part of the pancreas, and again, and then part of the reproductive system and things like that too. And so what happens is it ends up going in and it just continues to deposit because you're not running it off. And so that's where it starts wreaking havoc on your systems and things like that. There we go. And okay, yep. Actually, there's a lot of them. Holy smokes. It's the endocrine, respiratory, digestion, nervous system, reproductive, lymphatic, muscle, urinary, integumentary, skeletal, cardiovascular, circulatory, and urine. There's a lot of them actually. And so think about it. It doesn't just affect one area. When it goes through your body, it can deposit anywhere. And so you may start having, some side effects from those. And so, just making sure that you're monitoring what's going on. And because, what I would love to see, the goal of doing this, obviously, is to educate people how to get a regulated nervous system, how to get out of survival mode and how to start thriving, how to start living life happy and healthy and free with a regulated nervous system. Wouldn't that be amazing? Not having to worry about if you have a dysregulated nervous system or living in survival mode, wondering, going out and your nervous system just start dysregulating for no reason at all. And so think about it. A lot of people that have, anxiety of all sorts, a lot of them, especially like social anxiety, there's a lot of different anxieties. A lot of people start developing what they call as agoraphobia. And that's fear of going out and something happening in public. And so they allow their anxiety to overtake them because it's not their anxiety. It's nothing to do even with anxiety. What it has to do with is safety in their dysregulated nervous system. But see, doctors, a lot of them are not trauma informed, trauma educated in looking at the after effects of trauma. So they just see it as it's your anxiety, when in fact it's really your nervous system dysregulated and those threats and danger. And so it's looking for safety. It's always scanning because your body is not used to safety. And so the goals with doing these podcasts is to get you to understand that by having a regulated nervous system, that's freedom. That shifts you from survival to thrive. And that's, again, where the freedom is. Now, I'm not saying that your nervous system's not going to dysregulate from time to time, but you will have the tools and resources to understand exactly what to do. But there are people that can't leave their house because it gets so bad. All right. And so, again, that's the goal. I want to be able to see, trauma survivors, or, we're all trauma survivors, all warriors of some sort. If you're living in survival mode, the goal is to get the coping skills and to help you understand the side door approaches to get you shifting from survival and to thriving. And the only way to do that is pairing side door approaches with your traditional talk therapy and like traditional coaching, talking out your trauma and things like that. There has to be some sort of release. Talking does not activate your subconscious. It doesn't activate change in your subconscious and things like that. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so, the side door approach is what you need to reprogram, rewire the subconscious, which is the neural pathways that is something that is huge. And you can do it alongside your therapist, your coach, and things like that. But it's something that really needs to be done. Really needs to be done. And so there's quite a few. You can research some. I'm going to say two here, and then I'm going to give you another one that kind of goes hand in hand with the two. So obviously, as a specialist neurographic art, and I've told you, it reprograms the subconscious through art. We draw, it releases without talking. And what you're doing is you're expressing your emotions and thoughts through art. So you're literally drawing your emotions. Your emotions are actually, you're drawing your thoughts. And then your emotions are coming out through your coloring. Each color has an emotion attached to it. And so that's where that comes from. And so it's going in, it's drawing, it's doing all of that. I just ask reflection questions and things like that. But what I love about Neurographica is that it's really, honestly, I always say it's releasing the past without reliving the past. And it's releasing, and then literally it's going and learning to change that. So if you have anxiety, what we want to do is, if you have anxiety and we're releasing anxiety, well, then from there on out, we'll release anxiety for the week. I do one drawing with you just to give you an idea. I do one drawing with you, and then for the next 6 days, you do that drawing on your own. When we meet again, we'll introduce another algorithm. And so what happens is in the 10 weeks that we're working together, you're literally drawing that algorithm every day for change. So the second week, just to give you an idea of how Neurographica works, in the second week, we're gonna teach you, I'm gonna guide you through a different algorithm. And this algorithm is to change the anxiety. So now we want to build confidence. We want to build, self-confidence, worthiness, things that are more on the positive side. And so from there on out, from the 2nd to the 10th week, we are working on releasing that anxiety through positive measures. So we don't stay in the negative. We're there for 1 week, and then now we're switching. And just to see the transformation in myself, the way it does regulate my nervous system, my emotions. It helps me with my emotions, and I love it. The only thing is I can tell, like, if I get out here and I get working and I get sidetracked, because then it like goes. But even if I'm sidetracked, it's still working. I may not feel it right away or feel like anything in my body, but it is working. So that's the good thing. Breath work. So breath work is powerful when you use it under the guidance of a facilitator, because there are things that come up. You can learn to deep breathe and release trauma. So when you work with a facilitator, what they end up doing is having you do these deep breathing exercises. And what they do is the deep breathing starts releasing some of the negative things that are stuck in the subconscious. And so what it does is it starts releasing that through breath work. And so it's another powerful side door approach. There's one other one that I'll name. It's NLP. And that is where they go in, and it's kind of like a form of hypnosis. And so I'm not really too keen on that one. I'm just mentioning it to you, but I'm not too keen on that one. But NLP. And if you're going to you can research it, like mindfulness and all those, but I'm just throwing out 2 of them that I've used. I've tried breath work. Neurographica art is the one that actually includes art, mindfulness, and breath all together. Again, I like it because it's releasing the past without reliving it. And so I don't have to talk about things. I can just say, okay, this is the reflection. When I ask you a reflection question, this is the vision that's coming up. This is where I'm feeling something in my body. And this is maybe the emotion that's attached to that. And so this is how it works. And this is what's great. It's because when you reprogram the subconscious, where you're feeling that in the moment is where that trauma is in your system. Does that make sense? So in that moment, when you feel that, you're releasing that trauma from that part of your body, which is nice. And the third thing that I would suggest that you do, whether you're in talk therapy, working with a therapist, a counselor, social worker, whether you're working with a trauma coach, whatever. I would highly recommend that you either do like neurographic art, breath work. You can check out NLP, but progressive muscle relaxation. So progressive muscle relaxation isn't going to reprogram and rewire your neural pathways in your subconscious. But what it does do is it starts helping you release tension. It starts helping you feel more relaxed so you're not so tense. And it helps promote better sleep. Maybe your body won't be so sore, things like that. And so those are the things that I would highly recommend, because what actually happens by either using neurographic art, breath work, alongside, you can either, I'm not going to tell you not to, but don't let those be in lieu of you going and seeking professional help if you need it. Obviously, that's what that is for. But these two, along with the progressive muscle relaxation, and so when you're using whether neurographic or art breath work, what it helps is stops the fear cycle before it takes over your body. So what happens is that if you feel anxiety coming on, there's techniques that I can show you that instantly you can shut your mind off. You can stop a panic attack or an anxiety attack in a moment of seconds. And it's huge. Again, you can calm the physical symptoms of anxiety in real time. You retrain the brain to stop scanning for illness, and then scanning for illness. And then what happens is you teach it all of these things because your body is shifting into a thrive mode. And all of this happens, and I want you to understand that it has nothing to do with you being broken or damaged or anything like that, because you're not. It's just the things that we've endured in life, maybe the things that people instilled into us, the limitations, the blocks, and things like that. The body's not broken, but it needs to feel safe again. So your nervous system needs to feel safe through everything. And so it's really paying attention to what your nervous system is telling you. And so a lot of times, again, the nervous system becoming dysregulated, it goes back to a lot of the ruminating thoughts, the behaviors. And so those are a lot of things that end up being, guided through and stuff like that. So yeah. Do we have any questions, any comments, anything? And so again, my goal, I would love to see, a lot of people shifting from survival to thrive. It would be absolutely amazing to see so many people be able to shift out of that. And so it's just one of those things that, again, I'm very passionate about healing. And it's just one of those things to say, I know what it feels like to be living in survival mode. Am I in thriving mode all the time? No. I still have work to do. But I found something that helps, and that's what's key. You can't undo, trauma that happened over a course of 20 years all in one day. It might take you 10 years. It might take you 5 years. I don't know. It shouldn't take that long. But if you're really working on yourself, it really takes time. If you're really working on yourself and really doing what you are asked of you, what is recommended of you, you will see progress right away. You will see it. You'll see changes in your behavior. You'll see changes in your mental health. You'll see changes in your anger. You'll see changes in your window of tolerance. You'll see changes in your nervous system. You'll see changes. What I love about doing Neurographica, and this is one of the amazing benefits, and I had no idea that this was a benefit of this. So when I went to Boston in August, I was like, I was getting pretty chunky there. And I was like, and I knew why. I really, obviously I was getting to a point that my trauma was creeping up on me again. There was just things in my life that were happening. A lot of things that were coming up for me again. And so when I went to Massachusetts, I was getting heavy again, and I was like, holy mackerel. But I started drawing. So I was drawing every day, and things like that. And so, yeah, so I was drawing every day while I was there in the evening time just to relax and unwind, because being around my family, I love them, but, there's just some things. So anyway. And when I came back within 2 weeks, I'm just going to say within a month. I don't really want to say 2 weeks. But within a month, I started noticing, holy crap, like my clothes are big, my clothes are falling off on me, and all this. And in just 1 month, I literally released 25 pounds of trauma. No lie. No lie. And I wasn't eating any differently. I'm still not eating any differently. But here's the thing. A lot of weight gain and a lot of things that we do, it's in the weight that we stay on, especially around our mid area, the stomach area, is because of the cortisol that we dump. If you're dumping cortisol, that's usually an indication. And so when you're working to release the trauma, it releases all of that from your systems. And so it's releasing that. So it gets rid of all that excess weight that's coming along with it. And so when you start learning, so I'm going to tell you something here in just a minute, Scott. And so that was something that as I started releasing my trauma, I was literally releasing that from my subconscious, which is what I'm still doing. And so it's huge. But here's the thing. If you're losing weight, but you're not working on the trapped emotions, you could actually have a reverse effect. Not to sound like a negative Nancy. So, Scott, what I would highly recommend for you is I know some of the things that that you're doing, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But one of the things that I didn't pay attention to, and this was before, one of the things I didn't pay attention to, just to give you an idea, was being triggered. And that is a huge thing for people. Exactly. But it goes back to another huge thing is when you're triggered. Emotional eating is a real thing. A lot of people think, like you see these people that are like 600 pounds, like on the 600-pound life, or 1,000 pounds. And so as a mental health professional, I sit there and I'm like, man, I really feel bad for those people. And here's why. Because I know what it feels like to emotionally eat. I know what it feels like to be almost 300 pounds. At my highest weight, I was 283 pounds at my highest weight. I know what that feels like to be that heavy. And I remember catching myself when I was going through, and it goes back to a dysregulated nervous system. It goes back to food makes us feel safe. But does it really? But it calms us down. We have an enzyme in our mouth that when we chew, it makes us feel safe and it makes us feel calm. That's why a lot of times I chew gum. If I'm out here working or if I'm on a live, Sly will tell me spit out the gum, because I do get to chewing very fast. But a lot of times I chew gum because that releases that enzyme and it helps me calm and relax. But I was writing a paper for my certification, and I was writing it on the effects of alcoholism in my family. And before you knew it, I had eaten a bag of chips and probably 4 cheese sticks. And I'm not talking like a small bag of chips. Like I'm talking a pretty hefty bag of chips. I ate them. Well, you know what? Probably maybe not the whole thing, but probably 3/4 of the bag. And I got up and I was like, who ate? I ate all those chips? Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, there is no way I ate all that. So I was emotionally eating because I was so triggered that because of the paper that I had to write, I was emotionally eating to calm myself down because of that trigger. There's a lot of times we go into the kitchen and we think, oh man, I'm hungry. But are you really hungry? What are you going to the kitchen for? So there's times I'll go to the kitchen and I'll say, man, I really want something crunchy. I'll eat 4 or 5 chips and then I close up the bag because I just want that crunchiness, because I don't have any carrots or anything like that right now, or like cucumbers. And so I'll just eat, 3 or 4 or 5 chips and then I'm done. Put them down. Because I'm just looking for something crunchy and stuff like that. But really understanding that it's intentional and unintentional, exactly what Scott said. Why are you eating? What are you eating? What is your nervous system saying to you? And so I'm living proof. I worked hard to get where I am. Am I where I want to be? No, no. But I am 70 something pounds lighter than I was. And so if I stay at the weight that I'm at, then I'm fine with that. I don't need to be a stick figure. I just need to be healthy. And so, that's fine with me. And I'm already just to give you an idea, weight is a huge thing for me. Weight goes back to, for me anyway, weight goes back to being body shamed, being fat shamed. Even when growing up, even when I was like a senior, weighing 160 pounds, 170 pounds, looking at that going, oh, I'm fat. Now I'm looking, man, I really wish that's what I weighed now. But looking at where I am today is I'm healthy, and that's all that matters to me. But I go to the doctor tomorrow and now I'm like kind of crapping bullets because I'm going, oh, well, here I go again. They're going to say that I'm obese. And that word just irks the living daylights out of me. I hate that they categorize us as that. They don't categorize you as, oh, well, you may be a little overweight, but you're healthy versus, wanting me to be 150 pounds or 130 pounds. No, I don't want to be that thin. Thank you. And so, I love myself how I am today. But see, going back and looking and going, okay, now I know what's going to happen tomorrow. But again, it's looking at things and wondering, am I triggered? Is my body stuck in survival mode? Am I trying to thrive? And then realizing that, because that has an effect on your well-being, as well as, what are you putting in your mouth and things like that as well. So I'm proud of you, Scott. You're doing a wonderful job. Anybody else that's on their weight loss journey, I'm sure that you're all doing fantastic and things like that. So that wasn't a jab at anybody particularly. I just wanted to let you know that, that when you are going through a weight loss, that you really need to make sure that you take a handle on your mental health and what's causing your emotional eating, what's causing your or not what's causing, but, we need to get your safety transformed so you can switch from survival to thrive mode. So there's all kinds of different things that need to be done. And so, because we all have triggering effects and different things that happen to us and stuff like that. So, I say this stuff out of love. I don't say it to think I'm a know-it-all or to say things. A lot of these things, I have the life experiences. A lot of life experiences, like probably more than 40 years of life experiences of the things that have been trial and error for me. Things that have set me over the edge. And so it was my trauma. It was the overeating. It was the working at a place. This was how I ended up getting as big as I did too. It was part of my trauma, but there's another such thing as, I don't know what the term is, but there's another such thing as eating what everybody else is eating. And so I worked at a doctor's office. And so if somebody else would order a medium pizza or like a medium pizza, they would order breadsticks and a salad. So instead of just ordering a salad with chicken or something else, cavatini, like a small cavatini, I was ordering a large with breadsticks with a salad. And so it was kind of like competing. I was eating what they were eating. It wasn't really competition, but I was ordering what they were ordering. Not that I would eat it all, but there's a name for it. When you sit down with somebody and you're eating with them, and all of a sudden they're eating all of this stuff, and you're looking going, oh, well, maybe that's what I need to order. That's your brain telling you, oh, and realistically speaking, you shouldn't. And so I was doing that, time after time after time after time. And before you knew it, I was nearly 300 pounds. And so again, I've lost close to 70, or actually more than 70 pounds. and to get to where I am today. And so I'm happy where I'm at. If I lose more, absolutely. But I'm trying to, accept myself and figure out, what, life is too short. Again, like we talk about, what, I have to be happy with myself and don't care about what everybody else thinks. And that's fine. So it took me a long time, even with my gray hair, it took me a long time to accept this. Up until probably 3 years ago, I colored my hair. And I just could not accept that I had gray hair and things like that. Tell her I said goodnight and I love her. I just couldn't accept it. And then finally one day I was like, you know what? I can still be hot and still have gray hair. How many people pay to have platinum hair? Like all these young girls are paying all this high dollar to have platinum hair. And here I pretty much have it natural. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. And now I get so many compliments on it. It's funny. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty nice. So, do what you're doing for yourself. Work through your trauma, work through your emotions, work through what's coming up, sit with those emotions. But most importantly, make sure that you're doing some sort of side door modality, whether it's neurographic art, whether you're doing breath work, NLP. Hi, Heather. Making sure that you're doing something. Heather, I would highly suggest that you go back and rewatch this if you're just hopping on now. Once the live is over, I would highly recommend because we are talking about medical anxiety. And when people go back and they're searching for answers, searching for answers, persistent, and it causes, fear because you're consistently looking looking for answers, even though your test results are normal, or this is normal, that is normal. You're literally looking for things because your nervous system is stuck in survival, and things like that too. So Sly says, I wish mine would just fall out so I don't need to get a haircut and facial that I don't want to shave to fall out too. I'd be super happy. Well, we do have something we could take care of that. We could shave you. I have a hair removal gun that we could try to use. It is, I'd have the pleasure of zapping your face. No, not really. I wouldn't. Yeah, it stings a little bit. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions, comments, concerns, and things? Yeah. So I would highly recommend, Heather, that you go back and you really watch this because I think it would really help you. So a lot of times what ends up happening is it goes back to having a safety. It's a safety concern. It goes back to having a dysregulated nervous system. And it goes back to being in survival mode. So we've talked about this all the time. So really the only way to overcome a lot of this is working to reprogram your subconscious. And that's either through neurographic art, breath work, NLP, things like that. So, yep. Like, that's all right. Scott's funny. I'm going bald, so it don't matter. So, see, my hair, you can tell. I mean, you've seen some of the other haircuts, but I have my undercut, like from here. So from here down is all shaved all the way around. Oh, ow, that hurt. So my hair is so heavy, and I would just get headaches. And so I don't even know how long ago it's been. I've probably had this haircut probably about 4 or 5 years, maybe. And every time I think, oh, I want to grow it out, I'm like, you know what? Nope. I can let my hair down, and it's long. You'd never be able to see that it was undercut. But I like it, and it takes a lot of the tension off of my head and things like that too. And so a lot of tension off my shoulders because it was super heavy and stuff. I don't know why the scuba feels the need to bring the syrup.
Get your reaction.
I'm just gonna tell you it's nasty. I'm only kidding, Scott. So any questions, any concerns, anything about what medical anxiety is? If you're just hopping on, and I would make sure if you would please hit the subscribe button, like And yep, Heather, that's part of being in survival mode. That is a lot of stress, super anxiety. So if you will like the podcast, if you will subscribe, if you aren't subscribed already, oh, mine does too, especially in the shower. That's why I only wash my hair about every 3 or 4 days. It's like that, Heather, because of being in, it's kind of being in a reaction. You'll have to go back and watch it. Watch the podcast or watch the podcast live, because it really will hopefully help you. And I don't even know what I was just saying. Oh, so make sure you like, if you're not a subscriber and this is your first time here, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell so you get all notification. And then if you would share the podcast onto your, you can just hit the share button. You can copy the link or just share it to your Facebook. That would be amazing, because you never know who could hear, whoever needs to see this. You never know who out there needs to see these. And so I appreciate each and every one of you. I don't want a whole lot. I just want a little bit, like a small schmidgen. Okay. So we have to tell you about this. So our good buddy cousin over here, Scott, wonderful, sent us some maple syrup straight from Vermont. And so we are going to try this. Oh, look at it, has a C on there. And, not that we had to, but Sly seems to think that we needed to taste it. Ooh, that's definitely maple syrupy, isn't it?
In your mouth, all of it. Go for the gusto. Open your mouth, shove it down your throat hole.
You know what?
Like little Nicky.
Ooh, that was pretty good. You know what that would be good over?
Pancakes.
Well, pancakes too, but that would be good over like some bread pudding.
Oh no, that's ruining.
No, that would be good. I mean, you could put it on pancakes or waffles. Put it over ice cream. That's actually really good. Thank you so much, Scott. Oh, of course, he thinks he's got to try it now. It's always
Ooh,
better.
I could drink that out of a shot glass.
It's always
That's good.
It's always gooder. Always gooder. That was bad English. It's always gooder. It's always better to have maple syrup fresh like that than it is buying it from the bottle.
Better than what we get in Ohio.
Oh yeah, well,
that is good.
Yeah, it's not as runny. The when we buy it here, it's always super runny. Like that's not even runny. That's thick. I like that.
So good.
When we buy it here, it's super runny like water. And I'm like, holy mackerel. And then it absorbs into your pancakes like crazy. And it's like, and then you got to use all the bottle, it seems like, and things like that too. So, so thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate that.
That's good stuff, guys.
And stuff like that. So, again, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Does anybody, again, have any questions, concerns, things like that? Does anybody have any questions? Heather, again, I would highly recommend once it stops, go back and watch it. It's going to be you'll notice not a huge difference. Let me rephrase that. Go back and watch it. It'll teach you about medical anxiety, which will maybe help you learn to regulate your nervous system somewhat. Get out of survival mode. We want to all be in thrive mode because that's where you start thriving in life. That's where you have less anxiety, less anything, and things like that. So hopefully we're all in different parts of the United States. So I'm hoping as the weather warms up, you guys can get outside, go fishing, get outside and start walking, doing some wonderful things, for your mental health. And really, what'd you say? Happy y'all hot? I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, it is warm in my cabin because, again, I'm not turning my heat down in here because it may be 20 degrees tomorrow. You never know. So just make sure that you get outside. You're doing some things, whether you're doing outside expressive art, whatever you're doing, but make sure that you're taking care of your mental health. Reach out to somebody like myself if you need help, or, reach out to Sly if you're friends with him. If there's any type of, if you need somebody to talk to, don't ever feel like you're alone. I think that's one of the worst things, is really feeling like you're alone and having nobody to turn to, because as you see, we are real people. And my email is attached to my YouTube. My email is attached I'm going to put this in here too. My email is actually attached to my website. And this is, you can go and learn. You can actually go to my website. You can actually learn more. It's Art of Trans. No, that's not the right one. Hold on. I was like, yep. No, I just realized I did not type it right. That's what happens when I don't proofread, which sucks for me. Okay. So just to give you an idea, artoftransformation.life. That is my website. You can go on there. You can email me from there. And stuff, or you can go onto the YouTube, onto my profile on YouTube, and you can email me. As you obviously, you know that I'm a real person. I will, if I get your email, answer it. I'm not like some of these other people where they pick and choose, because I'm just not, I'm not Facebook famous yet, but I will get there. But even if I did get Facebook famous, I would do my best to try to answer as many emails as I could, because I just really feel passionate to lead people out of survive mode into more of a healing, transformative mode and way and things like that. I really believe that we should be able to, the things that we have gone through, it doesn't define who we are. And just being able to transition and be able to transform is exactly what we need to do. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. If you could make sure that you like the podcast, share it. And if you're new, welcome. If you could make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell. I go live every Monday at 7:30. And then what I'm going to start doing is when my sub jobs start, I'm a substitute teacher. Excuse me. And so when my sub jobs start kind of dwindling down, I will start going live probably every Wednesday. And I want to go live every Wednesday, and I want to start doing more of the drawing aspect of it, and it's kind of talking more about the neurographic art side of things and the art side, and really educating on that too. So just bringing in, the mental health and the trauma and the breath work somatic. Sorry, not the breath work. And bringing in the neurographic art, which is part of mindfulness and breath work. And it's kind of all of that and somatics all in one. That's what I was going to say. So, you'll be able to watch me draw. You can draw with me. You can ask questions and things like that too. And it's just about education. It's really about educating, to further enhance your mental health. So it's more about healing and transformation. So, all right. So, I will see you all I'm sure I'll see most of you on Mainstream here in just a little bit. I think that's at like 9:30 or so, or something like that. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you for being here week after week and really supporting me. That means a lot to me. So if we ever get to Vermont, absolutely. Well, of course, we're going to come see you, and then you can probably take us. We'll come see you, and then you can take us there. That would be sweet. So have a good night. Have a good weekend, or a good week into your weekend. And just remember, if the weather's nice, get outside and try to do what you can do, even if it's just walking around and doing some things like that. So it's all about, taking care of yourself and your self-care and things like that too. So have a good night, everyone. A good week, good weekend. And I will see you again next Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Good night.